I'm Natalie Davison, and welcome to the very first episode ever of Meet Me in Moncton. Meet Me in Moncton is an idea that came to life in my heart when I was working with so many clients moving here from away. And I would settle them into town and then move on to the next client, because I'm a realtor, in case you didn't know. And we would move along to the next client, and I would always worry about, are they belonging? Are they fitting into the community? Are they meeting friends? Are they integrating? I know for sure that one of the biggest threats to retaining folks in our beautiful community is whether they experience belonging or they experience social isolation. And so it was always so important to me that anybody I knew that moved here, I would take responsibility for helping them meet as many amazing people in our community as possible. But that got really hard to keep up with. And so for the last 2 years, I've been thinking about how do I create an experience where I can take all the amazing people I know in Moncton or I'm close to, that I almost know, and introduce them to all the amazing people moving here. That's where this was born, and it was gonna be this little Facebook Live show until I talked about it with tonight's first guest. So tonight's first guest is an amazing entrepreneur who launched his business in 2012 and has been through some ups and downs. We've known each other for years, and he shows up in our community like nobody else. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to the one, the only, Derrick Aubie.
Thank you. All right.
Look what we're doing here.
It's happening.
Live studio audience.
I love it.
Did you envision that when you moved in here?
No.
You ever think we'd be doing this?
Nope, no, never crossed my mind until now.
Okay, well, here we are. So Derrick, the first thing I want to ask you is when people ask you what you do for a living, how do you answer that question?
Well, I am the owner, president, however you want to call it, of Sonic Image Audiovisual. We're a local audiovisual company based here in Moncton, New Brunswick, and we specialize in doing corporate events. So like meetings, conferences, galas, things of that nature.
Okay, that's awesome. So I don't know if you said this, but one time somebody said to me as a speaker, the best AV is the AV you don't know is there.
Absolutely. So if we're doing our job right, at the end of the day, you walk away from the event and you don't notice anything. But if we're not doing it right, guess what? Everybody notices.
Yeah, and as a speaker, if you're not doing your job right, I'm doing your job. And I've many times been the person in the back of the room trying to put AV together. Absolutely. Okay, so how does one decide, I want to get into AV?
So it's a long story. I've always been very passionate about technology.
Okay.
So dating back to when I was young, you can ask my parents, I was not your typical kid. I was always crawling around behind the TV, taking apart the VCR, building things out of Legos that would move. I'd rip apart motors.
Okay.
I remember one Christmas, my grandfather actually got me a stocking, and it was full of like screwdrivers and black tape and all types of electronic stuff.
No way. How old would you have been?
Probably like 5.
No way.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the things that I was doing, it's questionable.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. How'd your parents feel about all this? Like in the time. So are you my age? I'm 43. Yeah.
I'm 40.
Okay. Sorry. At your young age, I don't know if times were the same. But technology was really expensive when we were kids. I mean, how did that go? How did that go with your parents?
Good. I think they were a little bit concerned when I was ripping apart adapters and plugging them into the wall and seeing what happened when I touched the wires together. But I think they've seen some potential there somewhere.
So you think they nurtured that in you at a young age?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So my father was actually a videographer growing up. So I was around it my whole life. And he always had, that room where he would edit his videos. And I always watched what he was doing. And I think a lot of that rubbed off on me.
Very cool. So then I want to ask, when did you know for sure this is what you were meant to do?
Fast forward to when I was done high school and it came time to, sort of try to figure out what I wanted to do for a living. I had a very strong interest in music, and I moved to Ontario and studied audio recording. So my initial thought was to get into recording studios and producing music and going into that line of work. And it just so happened that I moved back from Ontario. I'm originally from Bathurst, so I moved back from Ontario. I went to Bathurst, and when I got there, all my friends had up and left, and many of them moved to Moncton. So I was like, I guess I need to move to Moncton. So I moved to Moncton. I got here, and I found out about a audiovisual company that was doing corporate events. I sort of got into it that way, and one thing led to another, and I just realized that I don't need to be working in a recording studio. I can actually still put my skills to use and use a lot of the same tools that I would in the studio, but in a live environment.
And that did it for you, like doing the corporate, totally wet your whistle there.
Yes.
Cool. So then, how did you make the decision to start your own business? Because that's not small.
Yeah, so it kind of came out of necessity. I found myself at a crossroads in life, and I was either to go out and find a job or kind of do my own thing, and it just seemed a lot more exciting and interesting. And at that time, I really had no idea what I was doing.
Okay.
And I think that's probably why I did it.
Right. Looking
back on it now, it was definitely a big step, but I had a pretty good grip on the business here in town, and I had some good contacts, and things just kind of fell into place. I went to, I always like to tell the story, I went to Staples with my credit card and bought 2 projectors. I went to Long McQuaid, I bought a couple speakers, and I was like, all right, that's it. I'm good to go. I started making phone calls. And then I started doing cold calls, and eventually I got a call back. And
okay, wait. Pause.
All right.
Who are you? How old are you?
Be like 27.
So you're 27 with your 2 projectors. Mm-hmm. Who are you cold calling?
Hotels.
Okay.
Hotels and corporate clients.
And you're just like, hey, I'm Derrick with the 2 projectors. Give me a shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Sounds legit. So who called you back?
I got a call back from a hotel.
Okay. Which one? I need more information.
With a Future Inn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a 4 Points now, but it used to be a Future Inn over on Mapleton. And they called me back. They had a client in the hotel, and it's often how those things happen where they're sort of in a pinch.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, let's call that guy back that keeps calling us, right? So they called me up. They're like, all right, we need to rent a TV. And I was like, all right, perfect. I can rent you a TV. So I went upstairs. I grabbed the TV off my wall. I threw it in the car, ripped down to the hotel, and that was the first rental.
That was the
first Sonic image production.
Oh my God.
It was my 48-inch Samsung.
Off your wall?
Off my wall, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's a
and
great
actually, a funny
story.
side story is that we still work with that client today.
No way. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that story. When was your first moment where you were like, wow, this is really working?
I don't know if I've had that moment yet.
Look around yourself.
I'm just kidding. It's definitely right now.
It's right now.
It's happening in front of our eyes. No, I mean, one thing led to another. I always like to kind of say that I started with a couple pieces of equipment, and then I would always try and get jobs that were like slightly above what I could handle.
Okay.
And then if the job would go through, then I would invest that money into new equipment.
Like?
It just,
Like tonight's
like
debut?
This shot right here. I don't know if we can get it up, but I picked that up for the podcast. So,
for the podcast.
Yeah, but I just one thing led to another, and here we are.
Just keep getting those bigger jobs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
Exactly.
So the show is called Meet Me in Moncton. What's your first memory of us meeting?
That's a great question.
He made me send him the questions in advance. I didn't have like half of these on it.
It's hard to really read them. I think probably the first time that we met would have been on one of the events that you were speaking at.
Yeah.
Possibly like Master Mindset or Work of Heart.
Yeah, probably one of those. I first remember meeting you after a bad AV experience. So as a speaker, I had been somewhere else, and now I'm in the back, and I'm the one working everything with the guys don't know what they're doing.
You were actually
at a different event, and I had that experience, and I'm in the back, I'm setting things up, I'm trying to make sure my mic works. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not trained in this. And then my next event with you was Work of Heart. Angela's in the room if you're listening only. Work of Heart, probably 2018. And I remember I had to change a slide, and it was just done. And I was like, this guy, This guy's a real deal. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but man, that can be such a big deal. And you have just been so solid, like in working together ever since. So we've been working together a long time, obviously, at different events and things. I know there's a moment where both of our worlds really changed dramatically. And that would be if you're in the business of live events leading into the pandemic, and that was where my entire business was headed at that time. And that's where your entire business was. That was a real moment for me. Can you talk about that for you?
Yeah, so 2020 was definitely a tough year for us. I just remember sort of hearing that something was going on, and you hear about these things that have happened before, like the swine flu and different different things that were going around. You're like, oh, whatever, it's gonna pass.
Was there that like feeling of I'm gonna talk myself, there's no way this is happening, like talk yourself out of it as much as possible?
I think there was a bit of that, but I think a lot of it I felt that it was probably just gonna go away.
Yeah.
And I remember when it really got real was when they started canceling the basketball games.
NBA. That was my moment
and
too.
I was like,
yeah.
oh my goodness, like this is getting crazy. And then Trudeau starts coming out, and I just remember during that time sitting in the office and the phone was just ringing off the hook, but it was not for a good reason.
It was
it was everything that we had worked to book leading up to.
So how much business would you have booked at that time? Like how far out?
We were booked, it was kind of in March when things really started happening, but we were booked for the rest of the year.
For the whole year?
Yeah.
And it just ended overnight?
Yeah. And everything just completely went away.
I can't imagine how that felt because you have all of this, right? You're a lot more than 2 projectors and 2 speakers now. You've got this full warehouse of stuff and these people relying on you. So can you share a little bit about like what happens next when you're faced in that moment, your whole year's dried up?
Yeah, so I think it was on a Thursday when things started really, coming down. And we came in on Monday and we had a meeting, and it was like, I've got an amazing crew, and it was really tough.
Yeah.
But, I think everybody understood what was happening. We didn't, back was up against the wall, didn't have a choice. So, at that point, I kind of, I definitely went through a thing for a little bit where I was just at home trying to figure out, okay, well, what's going to happen? And then maybe after a week or so, I was like, okay, well, I can't sit here and just wait for things to open back up, because who knows when that's going to be. Everybody's speculating at this point. Is it going to be in a month? Is it going to be in a year, 2 years? So I said, all right, well, the only thing that I can do with the resources that I have is produce virtual events. So I was like, all right, we're going all in on virtual.
All in on virtual.
And that's something that we were doing like before the pandemic, but not like a lot.
So what happens then? You decide to go in on virtual. Mm-hmm. Were you faster to that than everybody else? And what did that look like?
Well, I'll be honest with you, like I felt like I was pretty quick to adapt to it. I don't know, like I think there was definitely a lot of people that like got on it right away, but I think there was a lot of people that were sort of just waiting it out too, which is fine. I mean, that's okay, but and I think this story, but what I did was I started a YouTube show called AV Life, and it was sort of just like documenting me alone in my warehouse.
You came into my porch.
Yeah.
We were social distance and came and sat on the porch.
Yeah, we're all sitting like 10 feet apart.
Sitting 10 feet apart on the porch, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just
That's
like,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, so I started doing that show, and I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna try to bring some awareness to the virtual production that we're looking to start here, and it actually like worked pretty well, and we started kind of get some calls, and by the summer I was able to hire back some of our team and kind of get the ball rolling again, and oddly enough, like the warehouse that we're sitting in right now is as much you've been to our old space, and this is like quite a bit bigger.
Yeah.
We actually during the pandemic like invested in this bigger space to be able to produce virtual events,
right?
Which was that was a gamble,
right?
And,
so people would come, like speakers would come in. stand on this stage and speak to the event while people are watching at home, kind of thing.
Right.
So in terms of like events now, are you now seeing a hybrid? Like, what does that look like now when people go to conferences?
Yeah, absolutely. Things have definitely emerged different than they were pre-pandemic, and obviously during the pandemic, everybody learned how to use Zoom. Everybody learned how to use Google Teams and all these tools that maybe people were aware of before.
Yeah.
Now everybody's using them. And now that the pandemic's over, everybody knows about all these things, right? So typically most of the events that we're working on all have some type of virtual component to them now. It's very rare that we're producing like a localized in-room AV event that doesn't have any live streaming component to it, whether
For
it's
at home.
Yeah, whether it's we're sending out that event to an audience at home, or a lot of times we're bringing in speakers from away.
That are not flying in to be live at the event.
Correct, yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. Okay, so then people might be wondering, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this podcast? Why are we doing this video? Like, what is this component of your business, and what's the future look like?
Yeah, well, I mean, the first reason why I'm doing it is because I think you're awesome, and I anything that you're involved with,
Come on!
I'm all about. First of all, I'm all about doing whatever I can to help you out as a friend, and also very interested in the production side of things, and it's definitely something that we'd like to get involved in. And I like your vibe with the sense of community, and it just seems like something that I think that we want to be involved with.
Very cool. Thank you. So when you say community, and everybody in Moncton knows you, or if they don't, they're going to, like they have to. When you think of community, when you think of Moncton, like what does that all mean to you? What's your experience being a member of this community, in this business community?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think Moncton is a community that really rallies together, and there's a lot of support in this community. I think there's a lot of opportunity as well, and I think if you're willing to work hard and go after it, it's endless what you can accomplish in Moncton.
Awesome. I totally agree. So what excites you these days, especially around Moncton?
Well, I love audiovisual and events, as you know, but there's a lot more that I'm interested in as well.
Really?
Yes.
You're more than just what you do.
I am indeed.
How fascinating.
Deep. I really love music. I'm a big music fan. I play music. I love video production, which is a huge passion of mine, and basically anything that allows me to be creative.
Yeah.
Like I love creating art, and just when taking something that wasn't there and creating it. That's what I love.
And so I'm like, hey, want to help me with a podcast? And here we are.
Yeah, I love creating things, and I approach live events with sort of that enthusiasm as well too. I love when an event is seamless, right? I like it when it goes smooth. There's no feedback. The only feedback I want is positive feedback from my customers.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. Okay, can you tell me about a local purchase that you have made in the last 6 months that's been like a positive impact on your life? I stole this question from Tim Ferriss.
Well, all these chairs that everybody's sitting in, I rented from Bob Lee Productions.
Yay, Bob Lee.
So shout out to Bob Lee. You're the man. I can't really think of like an object that I purchased recently, but I'm a big believer like in the local market.
Yeah.
I love going to the market and trying out different food. The Dieppe market. There's a fellow there named Jim Kent, who has a really nice stand, so if you can get a chance to check that out.
What does Jim Kent sell in his?
Got like rice and bunch of cool noodle dishes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Vegetarian also.
Yes.
You're
yeah,
vegetarian.
also vegetarian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
He's got a lot of vegetarian options. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very
and
cool.
I love like all the local breweries like Happy and Tide and Boar and all those local spots.
You're also into electric scootering.
Yes, I am very much into electric scootering.
An enthusiast of the electric scooter
Yeah, so
here
if you
in
don't know me
that.
from Sonic, you might know me from cruising around on my scooter.
Just flying around on
I
your
love
scooter.
electric vehicles, yeah.
Amazing.
Yes, yeah.
All right, Derrick. Well, listen, obviously it's been an amazing chatting with you. One of my favorite things and the reason why I consider you such a close friend is not only how you show up for me, which is amazing, but how I've watched you show up for so many of my friends, so many people that are entrepreneurs in this community, whether it's you sponsor everything. You're everywhere, investing in people and believing in people. And I have seen that in you for years and years. So the way you show up for the community is so important to me. And I want to know, how can our community show up for you? How can we show up to Sonic? How can we buy stuff from you? Where can we follow you? All that.
Yeah, for sure. So if anyone in the community or from anywhere really is hosting an event and you require any audiovisual services.
Rent a TV?
We would love to rent you a TV, some speakers. I got a couple projectors too, whatever you need. We got
He might even rent you his electric scooter.
Crazier things have happened. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, audience, do we have any questions for Derrick? Thank you. Any questions? I'm going to need you to ask a question. I'm going to need someone. Thank you, Max. We're going to co-create, remember? It's the part where you make me look good. What's your question, Max?
What was your favorite event to work on?
Favorite event to work on? Like ever, all-time favorite?
My all-time favorite event? That's a tough one because we do work on a lot of different types of events. Probably the event that you hired us for at the market, Max, I would say.
I was like, there are clients in the room.
I'm just kidding. It was a great event actually, but no, I mean, I really do enjoy most of the events that we're working on, and again, it sort of comes from a place of being able to put that creativity to use and coming up with interesting and unique solutions to make the events as seamless as possible. So I enjoy them all, whether it's something that may seem dry or may not seem exciting. Just that challenge of trying to find a way to make that meeting or event a show is what I really enjoy.
That's awesome.
So they're all good.
Yes. She's also going to ask you your favorite event. Another client.
I didn't know we'd have questions. We should have a mic out here.
Yeah, right?
We'll repeat
well, I'll repeat them. Yeah, we're good.
2 questions. What is the dream for the future of your business?
Mm-hmm.
And connected to that, what would you say would be like the all-time ultimate dream client to land for you?
I'm going to repeat the question just so we have it on audio. What is the dream for the future of the business, and what would be the all-time ultimate dream client for you?
I think the dream for the business is to keep evolving, keep growing, and eventually like to expand into some different markets. And another service that we're offering is simultaneous interpretation, which is something that's really in high demand in New Brunswick, being a fully bilingual province.
Right.
So all of the so a lot of the provincial sort of meetings that we're working on require that service, and really want to expand on that part of the business, and just see where we can take it. At the end of the day, I just really want to create something that's special, create a place that's just selfishly, I just want to come into work and love my job. It doesn't need to be complicated.
That's pretty great.
I just want a place where I can work with all my buds, and we're having fun, we're making a difference, we're working hard, and I'm good with that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, dream client.
Dream client?
Yeah.
Interesting. I heard somebody say Barack. We did work with Obama at one point. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, Barack Obama's probably the most. Did you get to physically mic him up?
No, but I did get to meet him, shake his hand.
That's pretty cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Who puts Barack Obama's mic on? Somebody mic'd me right
He's got
before
a
this?
whole team of guys that do that. Yeah.
Oh, Secret Service does that? Yeah, it's got a whole. You just hand them the mic.
Yeah.
You could probably sell the Barack Obama mic on eBay.
Probably.
I bet you eBay. I'm 43.
Marketplace, Natalie.
Marketplace. I'm
yeah.
43. Awesome. Great. Thank you, audience questions. All right, Derrick, listen, you're absolutely the best. It's obviously been a pleasure. This is a Sonic Image production. Every episode is a Sonic Image production. This wouldn't be happening without Sonic Image, and I just can't thank you enough. So,
Amazing.
Yeah, we'll really hug this time.
All right.
Now that we've met in Moncton, let's get to know each other a little bit better. You can join us and our crew and our guests at our exclusive Facebook community. Just go to Facebook and search Meet Me in Moncton Insiders.